Roe v. Wade was egregiously wrong from the start. Its reasoning was exceptionally weak, and the decision has had damaging consequences. And far from bringing about national settlement of the abortion issue, Roe and Casey have inflamed debate and deepened division. Justice Samuel Alito. The majority eliminates a 50-year-old constitutional right that safeguards women's freedom and equal station, according to dissent. It breaches a core rule of law principle designed to promote constancy in the law. In doing all of that, it places jeopardy of other rights, from contraception to same-sex intimacy and marriage. And finally, it undermines the court's legitimacy. Justice Elena Kagan. He called on the court to revisit other decisions, including contraception and same-sex marriage. In his opinion, he wrote that he would do away with the doctrine of substantive due process. Substantive due process asks the question of whether the government's deprivation of a person's life, liberty, or property is justified by a sufficient purpose. Procedural due process, by contrast, asks whether the government has followed proper procedures when it takes away life, liberty, or property. The rulings in Griswold versus Connecticut on the right to contraception, Lawrence versus Texas on the right to same-sex intimacy. 58% of Americans say they do not place much trust in the nation's highest court, including most Democrats and the majority of independents. 22 states have trigger laws as clear as Thomas outlaw abortion in other decisions, including on contraception, 400 deprivation of a person's life, liberty, or property. 435 representatives, 100 senators, 9 justices, and 1 president, all ruling over 329.5 million people who can't agree on anything. Hello YouTube, it's me KG and welcome to another video. Also welcome to a preliminary version of my podcast setup. I am planning a little mini podcast project that I think you guys are going to find fun. So please go ahead, scroll down, press that subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment, do all of the things. I'm not super high energy right now because of what we are going to be talking about. I was going to do a bunch of research and make this video super scripted and have an outline and do inserts, but I decided instead to just kind of talk off the dome because I don't think I have to explain this to anyone. I'll give you a summary. Roe v. Wade was a court case a lot of years ago that gave women the right to medical privacy, most specifically involving right to abortion. And this court case has been overturned, meaning that those rights are no longer in place, and that in a lot of states, those 22 I mentioned that have trigger laws that will take place and outlaw abortion immediately, women are left without options. Let me read you the story that actually got me irritated enough to sit down and make this video. I work in a hospital on a small NICU/IND floor. Our trigger laws went into effect immediately after the decision. Of course, we had a woman with an ectopic walk in at 11:30 p.m. last night. We had to basically sit on her until the doctor could speak with a lawyer. Her ectopic pregnancy ruptured. She then did not get her procedure done for another 9 hours because the doctor was working with the lawyer for so long trying to work around the laws and not lose everybody's licenses. By the time she had her procedure, she had over 600 cc's of blood in her abdomen. She almost died. I am scared of how often we as nurses and medical professionals are going to have to deal with this and not be able to do a thing about it. We were all livid in the huddle tonight, and several of my coworkers were in tears. It's just beyond silly to me how we're in a situation where people have all of the tools and all of the knowledge perfectly accessible to them to save lives, but they just can't because I know Roe v. Wade is the topic of discussion here today, but that's really not what I'm talking about. I mean, it is, but I'm talking about so much more. And as of late, there's always something to talk about. There's the school shootings and the Black lives and whether or not they matter, and the Hispanic kids and whether or not they should be kept in cages. There's the housing crisis, inflation, and the impending recession, affordable health care, and honestly, the list is never ending. I'm making this video because I'm really not surprised about this situation. I'm not surprised that Roe v. Wade was brought into question, and although I didn't expect it to be overturned, I'm really not surprised that it was. And that's just because I'm just not surprised anymore about any of the things that happen here. This place is getting to be a little ridiculous, in my personal opinion. Like, we're raised in the American education system to believe that this is, in fact, one of the greatest nations in the world, and we're all so endlessly and bountifully lucky to even get the chance to exist here. And then you get older and you look at what existing here actually means, and it just doesn't seem so lucky anymore. If not for COVID, I'm not really all that confident that I would still be living here, and I'm also not that confident that a couple of my friends would still be living here. I had planned to leave. I was applying to jobs abroad. I had planned a trip abroad, a long-term trip abroad, and I was planning to just get out of Dodge because, I just couldn't do it anymore. But I feel like I shouldn't have to leave. Maybe that's just me being a bit entitled, but I feel like I shouldn't have to abandon my home country to feel like I have any reasonable rights okay, I don't want to exaggerate and say that we don't have reasonable rights here. Like, we're doing a lot better than other countries, but even still, there are countries doing better than us. And it seems to be just because the people in charge here are stubborn and refuse to change with the times and catch up with the way society feels. And it's just really tiring waiting for people to catch up on basic shit. I feel like politically we don't really matter. And I also feel like that's not really a feeling, that's more of a fact. Not nobody, but the majority did not vote Donald Trump into office. They just put him there because of the Electoral College and some other little nonsense. But I mean, if that wasn't a way to underline that we, in fact, do not matter, then I don't know what could be. Furthermore, there is the fact that he accomplished so much in his presidency, and that's rare. Like, there are probably a handful of presidents, maybe 2 handfuls of presidents, who put in There are probably a handful of presidents who have made enough change that somebody's Monday to Tuesday looks different because of them. I can name in my lifetime, Obama changed what my lunch plan looks like and the healthcare that half of my friends had. Donald Trump changed everybody's feeling of general safety. Well, every person of color's feeling. He also changed the political climate in recent years and changed the way that people on opposite sides of the debate interact with each other. We have presidents like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Kennedy who've made these huge sweeping motions that have changed the lives of the generations that they're in charge of. And then you have these presidents that are about as significant as Wonder Bread, just white men who exist. And I feel like that's what we have now. We have a white man who exists. And I'm sure he does something. I'm sure he clocks in every day and he fills out some papers and he writes up a plan and he sends in a bill, but nothing has been accomplished. My Monday and my Tuesday look exactly the same. So it feels like we're just wasting another 4 years, and then we're going to have to fight off Trump again. The people in power don't really do anything, and it seems like the only times that they do choose to do something, it's something like this. Something that should have never been a question in the first place. Something that the majority of Americans don't want. They go ahead and they do it anyway. Because the majority of Americans are not the people in charge of us. The majority of Americans aren't represented by the people in charge of us. So they get to run amok and either do nothing or do whatever they want, bomb whatever countries please them, and write away any laws or rights that are inconvenient for however their 70-year-old white man brains feel. And I can't even blame this on a bunch of white guys anymore, because now there are women, now there are black men, now there are people of color and people in marginalized communities being involved, and they're still doing this bullshit. Particularly disappointed in Justice Clarence Thomas. Not disappointed in this, I'm not surprised by his actions, I'm just disappointed in his general existence. I don't understand how people say these things and don't hear themselves. Justice Clarence Thomas said that he wanted to do away with substantive due process, the process of asking if taking away someone's life, liberty, or property is justified by a reason. He doesn't want us to have reasons to take away people's rights. He just wants to be able to just do it. Do you not hear yourself? And we put this, not we, I didn't do it, but we put this man in charge. And I'm giving these examples in this video, but as I feel like I'm gonna have to keep alluding to, they're not the only examples. This isn't the only instance of this happening. It happens again and again and again and again, and it will continue to. And what are we supposed to do about it? That's my question, and to me the answer is nothing. There's nothing we can do about it because, I mean, look at it. What have we tried already? We already tried protesting, both peacefully and not so much so, with the Black Lives Matter movement reaching its peak. And where did that get us? It got us honestly nowhere. We got a couple of cases with some somewhat reasonable conclusions. No laws were changed, no procedures were changed. The police system has not changed at all, and it's not going to, because we just can't do anything about this. We live here, we exist in this, and that's just the way that it is. Not we, but like even the other side. Storming the Capitol, what was accomplished? Is Donald Trump in office? No. So what did they do other than kill people? What did they do? What did we win? What did we gain? Nothing. Because that's just the way things work here. Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever can be changed. Those in power don't want to change anything. Those who do want to change something have a million people in their way stopping them from changing something. And every time we do finally change something, there is always a chance looming over our shoulders that it will just get changed back. So what's the point? I took a break to charge the camera, so I'm a little bit calmed down, but the sentiments still stand. It seems as if nobody cares. Nobody's trying to care. Nobody's trying to do anything. We're not accomplishing anything. And no matter what we do, we don't get anywhere. We can sign our little petitions. We can go to our little protests. We can have our little marches. We can riot. We can talk on the internet about how we feel. We can lobby. We can call politicians. We can write emails. We can do whatever we want to do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're gonna do whatever pleases them. And what pleases them is not what pleases us. The only reasonable option any of us have is starting a multi-billion-dollar corporation and then getting shit done that way. But I don't know how to do that. So Jeff Bezos, if you want to write a book for the girls, let me know. That can be your contribution to society since you refuse to contribute anything else. I don't know that leaving America would even solve this problem because it's not like we're the only country in the world that has an issue or two. It's not like we're the only place where there are marginalized groups, where there's racism, where people are dying senselessly. But it just seems so dumb here. Like, I see homeless people being told by the police to leave wherever they are at. And it's like, where are they gonna go, realistically? They're just gonna go to some other place that someone owns because someone owns every piece of this country. And then when they go to this new place that someone owns, new police are gonna tell them that they can't be there either. And it's just gonna keep on happening. You're basically telling them to not exist, which isn't a solution. What you could do is propose a solution to the problem, such as housing for the homeless and systems in place that would help them to get jobs or get their addictions in order or get mental care or get hospitalized or get whatever it is that they need to stop them from going back into homelessness. But of course, you don't actually care about any of that. It's not your job to care about these people. Politicians don't care because they don't see it every day. When they do see it every day, they just tell themselves the same stupid things that their followers tell themselves, that these people are there because they're lazy drug addicts who just want to be homeless, because that makes sense. And then because politicians don't care, no laws are passed. Because no laws are passed, people can still call the police on them. Because people can still call the police on them, the police come and they do their job. And because the police come and they do their job, homeless people never get any fucking peace. And that's just one tiny thing on the list, the endlessly long list of things that are going wrong, that have been going wrong for decades and centuries, and that no one seems to care about. So I don't know what we're supposed to do now. Because of COVID, I wasn't actually allowed to leave the country when I wanted to, so I just settled for leaving the South. So I'm now conveniently placed somewhere where, more likely than not, Roe v. Wade being overturned isn't really going to affect me too much, at least not too quickly. But I'm not the only person in this country, so I know that that doesn't really matter and isn't a solution to the problem or to any of the problems that we have. Just saying, well, it doesn't affect me, so whatever, doesn't really seem to solve anything, but even the American people can't seem to get their heads around that. Better yet, politicians. So what are we supposed to do? Everything we've tried doesn't work, and every bit of progress we make just gets trampled on. So what do? I don't know what's next for our political field. I just see it getting worse, honestly. We're going to go into this recession and everything is just going to shit spiral, honestly. Truly. It just feels like I'm stuck. Like we're all stuck. Like we're all just trapped in this place with these desolate conditions that just keep slowly getting worse. And like it's like we take 2 steps forward and a step and a half back. And that doing that takes 100 years. So actually getting to where we're trying to go is going to take longer than the earth has left to exist. So we're just always going to be stuck. That's how it feels. And like it's one thing to be stuck on first world problems of like, oh, housing isn't affordable, so I have to have roommates. Oh, it's so hard to get ahead, so I have to drive a car that's 10 years old. Like, okay, life could be worse. People are dying, Kim. But it's another thing when people are dying, Kim, and you can't do anything about it. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. So I'm going to remind you to press the subscribe button because I do need 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And you could be one of those 1,000. I thank you guys for watching. I don't know what's going to happen in my comment section. Probably nothing. But if anybody does decide to say anything, feel free to contribute to the conversation with each other. I'm just feeling not hopeless, but just disillusioned with the idea that I can change anything in this political climate. With the idea that in my lifetime, any of the things that I really, really care about are going to happen. And with the idea that Congress and the Senate and presidency and rich people and anyone with any kind of power has the good intentions of anybody at heart. I've just kind of lost faith in those things, and I'm going to continue to vote. I'm going to continue to go to my protests. I'm going to continue to write my little letters and do my little lobbying. I'm going to continue just in case it's effective, but I don't really think it is, and I don't think it'll really be. Not in my lifetime. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this was healing. I don't know that it was a positive experience, but I hope you at least enjoyed hearing somebody say maybe some of the things that you were thinking. I will see you guys next time, next weekend. I post every Saturday, where we will be doing something more positive than this. Probably going to be a vlog, back to the usual content. So I will see you guys then. Until then, toodaloo. Go vote for somebody to do something. They're probably not going to do it, but vote for them anyway.